All right, my friend, you are in for a treat. If you have ever wanted to just light your business on fire because you're listening to Creatives on Fire, then you are going to want to tune into this episode this week. I am so excited to share with you Miss Christy Wright. She is an amazing business coach and author. And I want you to just really take a few minutes because this episode is a little bit longer than our usual episodes, but it is so worth it. Hello, my creative friend. Welcome to Creatives on Fire. Are you oh so tired of the constant struggle to keep up on social media? Do you wish you had more time freedom to actually be creative? Well, listen, I'm Melanie Ferguson, a creative business coach and multi-six-figure online creative business owner who's made so many mistakes growing my blog and social media to hundreds of thousands of followers, only to look up and have very little to show for it. Once I put my head down and added a few key systems and strategies, everything changed for me. In this podcast, I'll be sharing my proven systems and shortcuts, turning those followers into paying customers. So if you're ready, let's take your online business to the next level and leave all the overwhelm behind. Welcome back to the podcast, you guys. This week, I am thrilled to get to introduce you guys to Christy Wright. You may know her as a business coach or a podcast host, or maybe even you know her as the #1 best-selling author of Business Boutique, where she helps women learn how to make money doing what they love. So first and foremost, though, she is a busy mama of 3 little kiddos, and I am super thrilled to hear how she has pivoted her business into the online space. Christy, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about this.
Yay. So let's just dive right in. Tell us a little bit. I know that you have a history where you were speaking more in person and doing something completely different, and you've pivoted into this online space. And now you even have, which I didn't mention, an entire business coaching group called Goal Getters Club. So just tell us a little short snippet of how that transpired.
Yes. So I became a certified business coach well over a decade ago, and I was actually working for Ramsey Solutions for Dave Ramsey. And on that platform in that organization, I really grew up. I was in my mid 20s when I started there. And so I started a brand called Business Boutique. And that was a podcast. That was a coaching group. It was an event all over the country. It was a best-selling book. So that brand really grew. And then as I started noticing patterns, I had a lot of people show up to business boutique events and the podcast and so on that didn't have businesses. We started to add in more personal development content and faith-based content. So really, I've been in the business and faith space for almost 15 years. And in fall of 2021, after I released my latest book called Take Back Your Time, God called me to leave that organization. Nothing was bad at all. He just said, your season is up. And so I left and went into really what I would describe as, I guess, probably a year of kind of going behind the scenes. I was really present with my kids. We were dealing with some stuff with my son and different evaluations and therapies and so on. And so I feel like the Lord called me home. I'm a person of faith. So I feel like the Lord called me home to really focus on my family. And then he gave me the idea to start training speakers, which was a brilliant idea because I'd always done that. I've been on some of the biggest stages in the world with some of the biggest names. And I've always loved to help people with speaking and content creation. And I've been doing it behind the scenes. And it was a path for me while I was leaving Ramsey that honored them, honored all of our separation agreements and so on, and gave me a space really to help people and make money for my family. And so I built my business about a year later, training speakers. And then now what's cool is 2 years outside of Ramsey, God is calling me into what I've always done, which is business coaching. And so it's neat how he's weaving the old stuff with the new stuff. And so now I certainly still have courses on speaking and presenting, but now I'm doing back a lot of what I did before, which is business coaching. It's called Goal Getters Club now, whereas before it was Business Boutique Academy. But I've always been in online space, and now it's really cool because I'm able to do all the things that I learned and taught for years, but now I'm just doing it in a new season, in a new way, and on my own, which is really fun.
What a beautiful journey. And I love how he does. He ties a pretty bow on your package. You like literally did full circle, and here you are back at what you're comfortable with. I mean, obviously the things you're good at, you're comfortable with. And speaking of being comfortable, let's dive into a little bit of tactical things about kind of how does speaking maybe apply to some of the listeners who are in the online space. Maybe they're creating, you know, content for social media, things of that nature. What, give us a little story about crafting a signature message, how that, how that rolls.
Well, if you're a content creator, then you have the skill set or at least the practice that you need to be a great speaker because all great talks start as writing. You write your talk, you write your message, or even if you just write an outline, that is content. The content is just being delivered in a different way than a blog, for example, or a Facebook post that's text only. What I want people to think about though is your ideas are only as effective as your ability to communicate them. And so, whether you communicate them through writing or through being on camera or from speaking on a reel or Facebook Live or something like that, your ability to communicate those ideas is what's going to make the difference on whether or not they make the impact you want to make. So crafting content and being able to boil your content down to one main idea and to frame it into a story arc that your audience can follow is essential to your audience consuming it and engaging and wanting to read on and stick with you and read your next post or consume your next piece of content. So there's a piece of it that is the writing and the organization of the content that applies to anybody in any type of content creation. But the thing that I would really challenge people is if you have any type of brand or platform, you are a speaker. You may not be on a big stage with bright lights, but if you post reels or Facebook Lives or you go to networking events or you pitch clients, if you are talking to people in any way as the face of your company, then you're a speaker. And so it's a really important skill to learn and to craft because when you speak with verbal communication, not just written communication, there is a connection with your audience that is so much more powerful. You just think of the tools I have at my disposal in talking to you versus just typing to you. We've got facial expressions. I've got my hand gestures. I've got body language. I've got my tone. I've got my pacing. Sometimes I'll talk really fast and I'm excited. And sometimes I might slow down to really make a point. All these things you have as tools in your tool belt when you're talking about speaking. And again, not on a big stage, just verbal communication, whether it's audio only or even better on video. You are able to create such a stronger connection with your audience. And if the goal is to get them to do business with you or to change their life or whatever it is, they are able to know you, like you, and trust you so that all of that happens quicker. The trust is built quicker. They know you more. They like you more. The connection is stronger. And so anyone that's a content creator, I just want them to open their mind to the potential of connecting with your audience through verbal communication. And again, doesn't have to be on stage, but just being able to speak that content. So organizing your content is an important piece of this, but also speaking it gives you a lot more of potential than you have right now.
Oh my gosh, let's unpack that. That is a lot. That is so much gold. So, Christy, let's unpack the first part about because I think a lot of the listeners, and I know that my entire thing is about creatives on fire. And so we're in the creative space. And so what that usually means is we are all over the place with what we
100%.
want to share.
That's right.
And so instead of doing that verbal vomit or whatever they call it, when you just want to go on your platforms and share a little bit of everything that you love, talk us through how you might narrow that down.
Yes.
And I
Okay.
think you have a resource too.
Yes. So if you think about the purpose of your business or the purpose of your platform, okay, if you don't think of it as a business and you've got this hobby blog, that's fine. But what is the purpose of it? Okay. Most likely, your purpose is to help people in some way. You might be helping them through information. You might be helping them through inspiration. You might be helping them through steps or tools or encouragement or community, but there's something you're doing that is for the benefit of the person. Now, if you have a blog and it's just a place for you to journal, fine. I'm probably not talking to you because you can just do whatever you want to. If this is your online journal, by all means, go to town. Most likely, and maybe you started that way, but it transitioned to being this is for the benefit of others. If you have a brand or business and it's for the benefit of other people, then that is a really important value to keep front and center in everything you create because what you're creating is for the benefit of the audience. What you're writing is for serving them. And so that determines how you write, what you write, how you organize what you write, how frequently you write. Everything is for the benefit of them. Now, if you're just really cool and really famous and people just show up to your YouTube channel because you're like the Kardashians and they just like to watch you live your life, that's great. Again, that's the minority. Most content creators are creating content for the benefit of their audience. Okay. If that is true, and we're going to move forward in the assumption that that is true, if that is true, then you need to know how they think. You need to know how they consume content if you're going to meet their needs and make the most impact with them possible. One of the things you need to know is they cannot remember 500 pieces of information. They can't remember 50. They can't remember 5. They can remember 1, which means that every piece of content that you put out, and I mean this very literally, every piece of content you put out needs to have one main idea, one singular main idea, not 5 ideas, not 27 ideas, one main idea. Because again, if your goal is to get them to do what you want them to do, let's say you have a blog on minimalism. If you want them to do the thing you want them to do, they have to be able to remember it. They have to be able to understand it and remember it. And the way that you're going to do that is by having one main idea. It doesn't mean you only say one thing over and over again, but you've got an umbrella idea that the entire blog or podcast or article or whatever course module falls under. And when you have this anchor, this becomes your thesis statement that gives focus to the entire article or to the entire piece. And what's so great is then if you follow my story arc, like I teach this in my course, Stop Winging It. I have on my site, christywright.com/free content clarity starter kit, where it gives you some focus to your content. But that's what this does. Your one main idea gives you focus to your content. So then you say, okay, my opening story is going to set up this thesis statement. My problem that I'm going to unpack is going to set up the problem this thesis statement solves. I'm going to unpack the thesis statement and then I'm going to apply it. Here are maybe 3 steps to do the thing I've taught you to do. And yes, those are steps of application, but they're not new ideas. They're only how to apply. So I'll do this for life balance. My book, Take Back Your Time, is on life balance. Here's a great example. The thesis statement of my life balance book or talks is life balance is living from your values. Everything falls under that umbrella. There's nothing in my book that does not somehow connect to this thesis statement of the one main idea, life balance is living from your values, or said another way, it's doing the right things at the right time. It's doing what's right now. Okay, so then I open the book with talking about being out of balance. Isn't it frustrating when you don't have enough time? You always feel like you're failing. Yes. We're unpacking the problem of we feel out of balance. The solution, life balance is living from your values. It's not doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. When you do that, you feel that sense of balance. Well, then the next logical thing is, great, how do I do that? Okay, here's 5 steps to create balance. Step 1, figure out what matters. Step 2, stop doing what doesn't matter. Step 3, create a calendar that reflects what matters. Step 4, protect what matters. And step 5, be present for what matters. These are all steps on how to do the right things at the right time, how to live from your values. They're not new ideas. They're sub ideas. And what I think most content creators try to do is they try to cram in 15 ideas. And you should have a fitness routine, and you should be a great parent, and you should join your church, and you should also update your landscaping. What? I can't remember all that. I can't track with you in this content because it's all over the place, and I can't do anything about what you've just taught me. So the best thing you can do for your audience, if you want to make an impact, like I know you do, is to boil that piece of content into one main idea and then organize that content into a story arc that follows a basic story framework: problem, solution, action, the solution being your thesis statement. If you do that work, which takes work, it takes work to get concise and clear on your content. But if you'll do the work, your audience can track with you. They'll keep reading, keep scrolling, keep watching. They will track with you because you're speaking the language their brain speaks, which is story. We all speak in story. We understand story. But also they're more likely to do it because they end that blog and they go, okay, here's what I need to do. Here's the step I need to take. Here's how I can apply what I've learned from this person. And so it's really on us as a content creator to do the work to get clear and focused and organized in our content if we want to make that impact.
Isn't this so good? Christy is amazing. She is teaching us so many awesome things to actually raise our business to the next level. And another thing that I think will really help us along this path is my new creative content planner. I have created a content planner for creatives that's unique to content creators. It's a 52-week planning guide and calendar designed to help you manage your time, help you stay organized, consistent, and really just know what to do and when. From planning your content to making sure you're on track every single week, this planner allows you to focus on what matters most for your business. So, if you're looking for a way to keep all of your things organized, be able to be ahead of the game, and know exactly what to do and when, check it out at creativesonfirepodcast.com/planner. That's creativesonfirepodcast.com/planner. I love every single bit of that, Christy. And from my favorite word that you used there was anchor. So your anchor is your impact. Your one idea, your one theme, your one message is your impact. And I love the idea of getting it organized and making sure that people, they're only going to know you for one thing. And if you have a watered down message, you're going to walk around and they're going to be, you might make a little impact here and there, and the people might be like, okay, I took action and I had such great change. Well, who taught you that? I don't know. I can't remember. But if you are only doing the one thing, they 100% will be like, oh, yeah, that was Christy. That
Mhm.
was Melanie. We know exactly who we remember when it's an anchor. I love that. And so let's um, turn the channel, and you have been creating a lot of content over on your Instagram, super valuable content, and walk us through how you're using your own teachings in creating a reel.
Yes. Okay. So Instagram is interesting because that is a place that I use it mostly for faith based content. My Instagram, other than if I'm running a promotion for something I'm doing in my business space, I don't really use it for business that much. So, for example, right now at the time of this airing, I've got a challenge going on called my 5 day money making challenge. Well, that I'm going to talk about it on Instagram. But if you look through my whole history of Instagram and you watch 15 of my reels, they're all faith based. So I will let my Instagram audience know what I'm doing in my business so they know. But most of the content I'm putting out is faith based content regardless of if it's faith based or business based. I still follow the same framework. So if you notice on my reels, you will see that story arc of problem, solution, action, even in a 60-second reel. So you can consolidate the framework regardless of the time frame. And so it might start like this, like I'm just making something up, but here's an example. Isn't it frustrating when God takes forever? Gosh, it's so hard. Like he takes so long. Lord, are you busy? Are you asleep? Is your clock broken? Like what is taking so long? Here's what we need to remember. Maybe it's not that God is late. Maybe it's that he told us early that we're early. He gave us a heads up of the promise that is coming and he is perfectly on time. Today, when you're feeling impatient, remember it's not that God is late. It's that he lets you know early. Let this help you keep hope as you're waiting patiently. Okay. Problem, isn't it frustrating when God takes forever? The solution is here's a truth. It could be the truth combating a lie, or it could be your solution or your thesis statement combating the problem you solved. It's not that God is late. It's that we're early. It's not that, he's taken forever. It's that he gave us a heads up and he didn't have to do that. So now we can hold on to the promise even while we're waiting. So there's the action, hold on to the promise. If you think in terms of this story arc for your reels, what it's going to cause you to do is it's going to cause you to start with the problem you're about to solve. And this is one of the most effective communication strategies you can use. And many people don't do it because they just want to get to the point. They want to get to the meat and potatoes. They want to get to like the thing. It's like, stop spending money. Stop spending money. You're a financial expert. Stop spending money. Get on a budget. Okay. You're just yelling at me now. Okay. I already know that. You would be more impactful if you would pause, slow down, and start that piece of content, a reel or a blog or whatever, by connecting with them on the problem that you're about to solve with the budget or the whatever the thing is. So here's what that looks like. It starts with going, okay, if my thesis statement is you need a budget, for example, back out of that, what is the problem? The problem is our money's going everywhere. We work too hard. We don't have anything to show for all of our hard work. So you're going to spend some time unpacking that on the problem. When you do that, If you will spend time unpacking and connecting with your audience on the problem you're about to solve, it causes them to be interested in your solution. It causes them to lean in and listen. They want to keep reading. They want to keep watching your video because now they're nodding along with you going, "Yeah, that is frustrating. Me too. Man, I hate that. You're right. Why don't I have any money? I do work too hard." They're nodding along. You're bringing that problem that they have front and center of their mind. So now they are primed and ready for your solution. Every human brain is always thinking, why do I care? What's in it for me? We're wired for survival and we weed out information that does not apply to us all day. We're just completely checking out on things that don't interest us. Think about you as a consumer scrolling social media. You scroll right past things that don't connect with you. And those that you stop, they connected with you on that basic question your brain is thinking, which is, why do I care? What's in it for me? So when you
Mhm.
do this, when you spend time on the problem, you're getting them ready for your solution. So then when you say, you know what would solve all of this? A budget. Imagine if you just told your money where to go instead of wondered where it went. Imagine if you were in control instead of, your bank account seeming to fly off the rails, whatever. Whatever your content is. It could be any topic in any industry. But if you'll slow down and start by connecting with them on the problem, they will be much more interested in your solution. They will be more likely to engage and stay with you. But most content creators fly right past this. They just get to get a budget, whatever their solution is. And people scroll right past because they just feel like you're yelling at them. Instead, slow down, connect with them on the problems that they have before you deliver the solution. The quote we all know, which is, people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. Here's my version of that. People don't care how much you know unless you tell them why they should care. When you connect with them on the problem, that is the why. That is why they should keep listening, why that they need your solution. Connect with them there and then watch how they stick with you.
Awesome. That is so true. I love all of that concept, and it's definitely so true. We as content creators make mistakes all the time, and I know that we're going to link a lot of things in the show notes today. But one of them is going to be your freebie of the top 10 mistakes most speakers make. And I think you just hit the nail on the head with one of them, about just kind of yelling at your audience
Yeah.
without first, sharing the problem and kind of getting into their world. So could you share maybe a couple more mistakes that people make?
Yes. One of the big mistakes speakers make, or content creators for that matter, this would apply to any content, is not using story. And the one of the examples I share in the book, it's an ebook that you can download for free. But one of the examples I share is being in a meeting, and this was years ago, and we were brainstorming a keynote presentation for one of our speakers. And there's all these men in the room. It's just a bunch of leaders, and everybody's brainstorming. And the problem was that he was going to be cut close on time, and he had more content for this time frame than he had, which is a common problem we all have because we just have so much to say, right? Like, oh, how am I going to hit my time? And so someone across the room said, well, cut the stories. If you're close on time, cut the fluff. And that is a very common misconception in the speaking world or content creation world. If you're close on time, cut the fluff. And I could not disagree more because stories are what connect with us. And actually, research shows engage every part of our brain more than any other method of communication. Stories are what make everything else matter. So if you are close on time or close on space, cut some of your points because you for sure already have too many. You have too many points, you have too much information. Cut some of your information. Leave the stories and let the content breathe because the stories are what make the points land. It's what makes them memorable. It's what makes them come to life and stick and makes people give a flip. It's the stories that make that happen. So that's a really common mistake is someone gets up here and goes, point number one, point number two, do this, do this, do this. It's just like machine gun information at you. And you walk out of there, you're like, I'm just overwhelmed versus a speaker that has one main idea and they breathe in the moment with you and they bring stories to bring that one main idea to life and they apply that one main idea to you and they wrap up with a story showing you how that one main idea is possible. You're going to walk out of there inspired and activated and ready to do the thing they taught you to do. Stories are what made that happen, not more information. So one common mistake they make is not using stories. Um, Another common mistake is not preparing or practicing. And I think often business leaders are really bad about this. They're like, oh, I'm just a natural speaker. I'm just going to wing it. I'm like, yes. In fact, I named my course after you. It's called Stop Winging It: How to Face Your Fear, Craft Your Message, and Present Like a Pro. We just make it up as we go. Especially Christians often think, well, if I practice or rehearse, then it's not authentic. I'm not following the Holy Spirit's lead. Let me tell you something. The worship band at your church didn't get up there and wing it and hope that oceans came out perfectly. They practiced. When you practice, it shows that you care. Your story is no less authentic because you rehearsed it than it is when you're giving it on stage. It just shows that you give a flip and you want to make the most impact possible. You will be better. You will be better if you practice. Practice your stories. You're going to learn what parts are clunky and you need to smooth them out. You're going to learn opportunities for humor. Oh, I could say this there and then make it funnier. You're going to learn, oh my gosh, that whole sidebar was rambling. That has nothing to do with anything. Let me pull that back in. You're going to learn, oh crap, I'm at 45 minutes over on my time. I better cut some stuff out. You're going to learn what you need to do through practice. And I'll tell you, in 15 years of doing this, the events that I practice for and those that I don't are night and day difference. I knock it out of the park when I practice. And when I don't practice, I pay for it every time. Every time I think I could have done so much better. Now, did the audience know a difference of my standard for myself? Probably not. But I feel drastically different. And I know that I am actually better. They just don't know what I'm capable of. I'm way better when I practice and prepare. So get out of this idea that you're somehow being the most authentic self by freaking getting up there unprepared. No. Do you want your surgeon unprepared before he comes into surgery with you? No, you don't. So your work matters. And if you care, again, it goes back to making an impact. If you want to make the most impact possible, then do everything in your power to make the most impact. And that comes down to preparing and practicing.
Amen. That is so true. I mean, I personally have experienced this. I got on stage one time to speak and I literally stood around and all of a sudden, since I didn't practice and I wasn't even sure how I was going to open, I got caught up in the moment and I looked around and I was like, there's hundreds of
Mhm.
people staring. And it just kind
Mhm.
of like hit me like a ton of
Mhm.
bricks. I literally ended up sitting down in a chair because the stage had two chairs and I had to have the person who introduced me sit down and do an interview style talk instead of what I had thought I was going to talk about because it was like a stage fright moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that preparing is something that would have helped me through that.
Absolutely.
And again, you can't make an impact if you're winging it.
That's right.
You can't because
Right.
you need to not only be able to communicate, you need to be very confident
That's
in
right.
what you're communicating
That's right.
so that your audience can receive it in the best way possible.
That's right.
So, Christy, I think that part of that comes with what you touched on at the beginning of our conversation about face to camera. And so, just making sure that when you have the opportunity to actually get your face in front of a camera, just do it because that's going to be like your offer on steroids, right? Because they will have that opportunity to say, hey, she's like me, or if she can do it, I can do it, right?
Right. 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 Exactly. And I will tell you, there is no more effective coach than video. Because you will notice you do things like, oh, I touch my hair a lot, or I touch my nose or not, or I do this like weird face over and over again. Like video is this brutal coach because when you watch yourself back, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had these tics or these crutches, or I say this word over and over and over again. It really helps you get more concise, get more polished. And it's, again, no less authentic, but it just helps you be a more polished, confident communicator.
Love it. Love it. So, as we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you a couple of quick things. Number one, um, what do you love most about what you're doing now?
For me, I'm a naturally confident person. People have always said this, but I also believe that confidence is a skill that you can learn and grow in. And my favorite thing to do of business, faith, personal development, doesn't matter. My favorite thing to do is to see other people's confidence grow. And I had this unique ability to believe in someone so much that they actually believe in themselves. So they go do things and then their confidence grows from proof of surviving the scary thing or starting the business or whatever. And so seeing that confidence being cultivated in other people for me is so life-giving because you're watching a transformation happen that you got to have a front row seat. I didn't do the work. They did the work, right? Like they went out there and did the scary thing, put themselves out there, but to be a catalyst or to have a front row seat in that confidence, that affects everything. That affects your ability to set goals, stand up for yourself, resist peer pressure, make the decisions that are right for you and your business, start a business. And so for me, I think confidence is the most rewarding piece of the puzzle, even the more than watching businesses grow, which is fun, but like business is still the outpouring of that confidence.
Exactly. Okay, one last question. If somebody was just getting into the online space and they were just dipping their toes in and getting started, what advice would you give them, or what advice did you wish you knew when you were getting started?
I think when you're very first starting out, it's good to experiment. I think, experiment on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and try courses or try coaching. Just experiment. Give yourself the permission to experiment to discover what you like. Do you like audio more than video? Do you like video? Do you like live or pre recorded? Do you like working with a large group of people or a small group of people? Just experiment and take note of what's going on in you and what you really like, because the reality is you can build your business a million different ways. And a million different people will tell you this way is the right way. I think you're going to be the most effective and most successful when you build it in a way that's right for you, that you enjoy. If you hate being on video, then maybe you do a podcast. If you hate doing anything verbal, maybe you just stay, you're a writer and your blog is your platform. There's no right way to build your business, but you need to know what's right for you. You're going to have the most fun and be the most effective after you experiment for a while with no pressure to perform, no pressure for certain results, no pressure for like, I've got to produce this outcome. You're just learning about yourself. Once you've done that, then that's when it would be good after, several months, maybe even a year of experimenting. Then you get focused and you say, okay, how can I monetize this? How can I maximize this? How can I scale this? I'm going to be more and more focused. I honestly, totally transparent. This is what I did kind of accidentally, but I've also seen that it's a best practice. For about a year, I did a lot of experimenting. I did launches, I did, courses, I've done lots of different stuff, lots of different models. I've done masterminds. And now this year, I'm incredibly focused. I have 3 priorities, and that's it. My podcast and other people's podcasts. So podcasting is a priority for lead acquisition to grow my email list, because I had to start over from Ramsey. So there's a why of this path, right? Like here's the why. Number 2, coaching. So I have a coaching group called Goal Getters Club, and this is my way to coach and scale in a large way. So it's a group. It's not like one-on-one coaching. I do one-on-one coaching, but that's very few people can afford that from me on retainer. But I've got this group that is $97 a month, and I'm growing it to hundreds and hundreds of people. That is where my focus is, because that scales. Okay. And then number 3, writing. Number 3, writing. So writing my next book, writing lead magnets, writing content. What I didn't say were courses, launches. I set all that down. And there's a moment as a content creator and as a business owner, we go, oh, this feels like I'm leaving money on the table. Oh, it feels like I need to do all the things. We can't do all the things. If you try to do all the things all the time, you will spread yourself so thin and you will not be good at any of them. So I'm able to fill up my calendar with my podcast and other podcasts like this one, and really super serve my coaching clients in the Goal Getters Club, because I'm not trying to do that and a mastermind and launch courses and all these things. And so I think after you give yourself some space to experiment, okay, these are my sweet spot. My sweet spot, podcasting, coaching, and writing. And here's the why of each of these. One is for lead acquisition. One is for impact and monthly revenue. And one is for me being an author long-term. I've got to have that time to write. When you get that focus, then you're going to make the most traction. But don't put the pressure on yourself to know exactly what you want to do in your first 5 minutes in business. Give yourself time to experiment.
Exactly. Exactly. And you probably see me over here taking notes, because every time I'm like, oh, that's a gold nugget. That's a gold nugget. Niching down. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your people. Do it for the people you want to serve, because like you mentioned, if you were trying to still add in those couple of few things that you thought maybe you're leaving on the table, it would water down what you were able to physically give to the people who've raised their hands and said, we would love to have you work with us.
That's right.
So I think that's amazing. Everything's been amazing, Christy. I super appreciate you being on here. This has been such an honor, and I have absolutely loved it. We're going to have so many links down in the show notes for you guys. Don't forget Christy's, it's not a boot camp, but her challenge, the 5-day money making challenge. It's going to be kicking off the day that this episode airs. So you're going to want to hurry and go to the show notes, click on the link and sign up for that. And then she's going to give us a link to all of her freebies that she's talked about. So Christy, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun.
It is fun. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much, my friend, for tuning in each and every week. If you learned something new or were inspired from today's episode, I would be incredibly grateful if you would take a minute and just leave a review. Bonus points if you share this episode by screenshotting it and tagging me on social at Creatives on Fire Podcast. I'll share you in my stories when you do. In the meantime, keep rocking your business, and don't forget, no one else will ever be you. And that is your creative superpower.